Okay, good morning, Brett. So I'd like to welcome you to the Office Assistant Administration Department and also welcome to today's Workplace Health and Safety Mentoring Session. My name is Cara Flanagan and I am your Workplace Health and Safety Representative. The purpose of this mentoring session is to familiarise you with our workplace health and safety policies and procedures and to emphasise the importance placed on workplace health and safety by the Office Assistant. Our governing philosophy that I'll refer to all the time is workplace health and safety is everybody's responsibility. Okay, as we go through the session, if you think of any questions, I might just turn to that blank page for you. You can write down any questions as you think of them. I've set aside time at the end for questions, okay? So just bear with me as I go through and then questions at the end. So I'm going to ask you a question to start. Have you had any workplace health and safety training in any of your past places of employment?
Yes, when I was in the mining industry.
Oh yeah.
So,
What would you say in the mining industry there was a big emphasis on workplace health and safety?
Very big emphasis.
Yeah. And not only because that's the law. What else? Why do you think they do that?
No, because it's very dangerous work.
Yeah.
And there is potential for harm and incidents. So
Yeah.
It was really emphasised.
Yeah. That doesn't surprise me. Workplace health and safety is sort of in any workplace. Ours probably isn't as dangerous as the mining industry, but still very important for us to concentrate on. Okay, so the governing legislation and who it protects. The Office Assistant takes its duties to provide all employees, clients and customers with a safe, risk-free and healthy working environment. Our governing legislation protects employees, contractors and subcontractors, apprentices and trainees, work experience students, volunteers, and employers who perform the work. So anyone associated with the company really who'll be in the workplace. The main governing legislation is the Work Health and Safety Act 2011, which we can actually have a little look at here. I've got a hyperlink on the PowerPoint. Okay. And just so I can say that you've seen it, I might get you to read the first paragraph there, please, Brett.
The Work Health and Safety Act 2011 provides a framework to protect the health, safety and welfare of all workers at work. It also protects the health and safety of all other people who might be affected by the work.
Yeah, so like I just said, this is the main place to go to if you want to look at any legislation regarding workplace health and safety. You can see on the side links to further legislation. So this would be a port of call to go to other places. And I can even see here that it also lists who the Act protects, very similar to the list I just read out to you. Obviously we don't have time to read through all of that, just for this brief mentoring session, but it is important for you to know that it's there for you whenever you need it or want to look at it further. Our workplace health and safety practices and processes are continuously reviewed to ensure they comply with all the relevant state and federal legislation. Workplace health and safety guidelines are designed to prevent accidents, injuries and illnesses in the workplace. Okay, let's look at some workplace health and safety definitions. A breach of workplace health and safety is any activity, behaviour, equipment or furniture that does not comply with current workplace health and safety rules and regulations. A hazard is a dangerous or potentially dangerous situation that could result in workplace illness, injury or death. A hazardous substance is one which must be used and handled with precautions. The supplier must provide a material safety data sheet with the substance. Just looking at the last two, incident and accident. Brett, I'm wondering if you know the difference between an incident and an accident. How would you describe them?
Well, an accident is something that has occurred. And the incident, well, it could have been little things that could have led up to the accident, which could have been prevented if they were reported.
Exactly, yeah. So I'll just give you the formal definitions, but it's exactly what you've just said. An incident is an event which has the potential to cause injury and or damage to property or equipment, so not just people, equipment as well, things as well. They're often described as a near miss.
Yes.
Yeah. But an accident is an event which actually does cause an injury to a person or damage to property, equipment or the environment. Perfect example that happened in our workplace. Rosie, our senior administrator, the other day tripped over some cables that were on the floor, put her arms down to prevent, just as a natural reaction, and has badly sprained her left wrist. We have since found out through consultation so Rosie had an accident, but we found out that there were incidents of staff tripping on those cables, but because no one reported it, nothing was done about it, and Rosie has had her accident, which could have been prevented. So reporting incidents is just as important as reporting accidents. We try to take a proactive approach. Okay, workplace health and safety officers. The role and responsibilities of the workplace health and safety officer are undertaken by the human resources officer. So whenever I talk about the workplace health and safety officer, I'm referring to a human resources officer that's trained in that area. I'm your workplace health and safety representative, but they're much more professional in the workplace health and safety area. All issues and queries relevant to workplace health and safety should be referred to the workplace health and safety officer. You can come to me if you're more comfortable, then I can report it to them. So there's a lot of consultation that takes place. Their job is to conduct audits, undertake environmental risk assessments. So for example, that's actually happening right now in regards to what happened with Rosie. They're looking at the risk of the cables on the floor and risk management practices, actions are getting into place. Report hazards or unsafe work practices, assist workplace health and safety inspectors, investigate workplace health and safety breaches, investigate workplace incidents and accidents, which is happening in regards to Rosie, and organise workplace health and safety training. So you will get a visit from a workplace health and safety officer shortly for formal training. Okay. Workplace Health and Safety Committee. I'm actually on the committee as a representative. I was elected by our department. If I was to go on leave for a extended period of time or change departments, a new representative will need to be elected. The company likes to have someone from every department to go to these meetings. The meetings happen every first Tuesday and every second month, and they go for about an hour and a half. The minutes of the meetings are always published on the staff intranet. So if you want to go and have a read and sort of see what happens at those meetings, they're public for you to go and have a look at. The committee, our job is to promote workplace health and safety, to discuss workplace health and safety issues, to review any incidents that have happened, to make recommendations and report to executive. We don't always get to see upper management. This is a good chance for us to speak to them and address any workplace health and safety issues. This is a perfect example of workplace consultation processes that take place within the company. I keep referring to Rosie's incident, but her accident, I should say, but it is a perfect example. So we've put in short-term controls in the meantime, but I have taken the concern to upper management, and more long-term controls are getting actioned as a result. So that consultation is very important. Okay. So please don't hesitate to inform me of any workplace health and safety concerns you have. Your input, opinion and contribution is highly valued in this organisation. And we say there's no such thing as a silly workplace health and safety issue. Anything you think, please bring it up, please report it as soon as you can. We really like to take a proactive approach. In regards to a proactive approach, that flows beautifully into our next slide. So compliance, your workplace health and safety responsibilities. Employees are required to follow all workplace health and safety rules, regulations and guidelines, including emergency procedures and drills. Immediately report any workplace health and safety breaches to the workplace health and safety officer and complete an incident form within 3 days of the injury or accident. The Department of Training and Industrial Relations must be notified within 24 hours of a serious accident. You also have a responsibility to identify potentially unsafe equipment, unsafe work practices, risks or hazards. Risk management is very important. We try to prevent things from happening in the first place. You can complete an employee feedback form as a means to inform the workplace health and safety officer of any of these issues. And now's a good time to reiterate that governing philosophy I spoke about before. where you can really see that workplace health and safety is everybody's responsibility. In regards to supervisors and managers, they monitor all these things and they ensure the workplace is safe for you. So it's a two-way street. Okay, everyone has their role. Okay, reporting injuries or incidents. An employee injured or involved in a workplace incident or their agent must notify the relevant department manager, supervisor as soon as possible. So if you weren't comfortable speaking to management at this stage when you're new, you can come to me and I can report it on further. As soon as the injured employee is able, they should complete the incident report form together with their department manager or supervisor as soon as possible. The department manager or workplace health and safety officer should complete the incident report form if the injured worker is unable to. All incidents, accidents and injuries will be investigated and documented, and in the hope to prevent these things reoccurring and to put any preventative action in place. So we don't ignore incident reports. When we get them, we follow through. Okay, hazardous substances. All hazardous substances are provided with Material Safety Data Sheet or MSDS. Details of hazardous substances received by the warehouse must be forwarded to the Workplace Health and Safety Officer or Human Resources Officer, as I explained, same role and responsibility or mutual role and responsibility, who will enter the relevant data into the Register of Hazardous Substances. A copy of the register will also be available in the warehouse and must be referred to in the event of an incident involving hazardous substances. Training will be provided to employees who are exposed to such substances. So if you're not in a position where you're exposed to hazardous substances, you might not necessarily receive the training, but if you ever have to go into that section, proper training will be provided. Spills and leaks. Spills must be removed as soon as practicable to minimise incidents. If a hazardous substance is involved, the Workplace Health and Safety Officer or warehouse manager must be contacted to identify the method required to remove the spills safely. An incident report form should be completed by the employee who has organised the removal of the spill. So even if you remove a spill, still feel and it's all gone, all cleaned up, you still need to report the incident, so to try and prevent it happening again. If possible, leaks should be remedied immediately and an incident form completed. If it is not possible to fix the leak, notify your manager and complete an employee feedback form that will then be sent to the Workplace Health and Safety Officer. Okay, manual handling. Brett, manual handling principles tend to be very universal and don't change much over time. So I'm curious, can you tell me some manual handling strategies that you're already familiar with from your previous places of work?
Yeah, it's keeping your back straight,
Yes.
bend your knees.
When lifting?
Yeah,
Yep.
and like if it's too much, like separate them.
Mhm.
So carry what you can handle.
Yeah.
And if it's too large, you get a forklift or an aid, some help,
Mhm.
or ask for help.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Yep. And that's exactly
Yeah.
Pretty
and,
much-
And watch you don't twist. and
Yeah,
things like that.
try and avoid twisting when
Yeah.
you're placing the object down. Yeah, well, it sounds like you've had good manual handling induction before. So I'll just go over those points, but it's pretty much what you've already said. So to reduce the risk of injury when lifting or carrying loads, avoid lifting with the back fully bent, like you said, keep a straight back, or after long periods with the back bent. Avoid the need to twist or bend sideways when placing the load down. Use mechanical aids to assist wherever possible. So probably that outside workforce, use forklifts a lot. In administration, we do have trolleys that can assist with lifting. You mentioned this, modify the handling task. So for example, if you've got 3 boxes, take one at a time. And you can always ask for help. Get an infallible employee to help you if the load's too much for one person. Okay. As I keep saying, this is just a mentoring session to tell you about our policies and procedures and our philosophy. You will receive formal induction and workplace health and safety training. Another role here today for me is to make you feel comfortable to come to me if you have any questions on workplace health and safety, and I'll take those issues, questions or concerns to the committee meeting. As a new employee, you will be participating in formal induction training before the end of this month, and that will be provided by Workplace Health and Safety Officer, Human Resources Officer. You will receive formal and practical training regarding a lot of the things we've talked about: hazard identification reporting, risk management, incident investigation reporting, fire emergency and evacuation, and manual handling. Employee skills are recorded on the staff training matrix where training gaps can be identified. So every time you complete some training, it's recorded on your sheet. And if there's any gaps where we feel you need more training, that will be identified and training will be provided. If you ever identify training you think you need that will assist you in your work responsibilities, you can seek approval from your department manager, and they will look at it and decide whether it's within the budget and seen as beneficial. So you can always express your own training needs if you ever want to. You will also receive training on how to navigate our staff intranet. I've mentioned the intranet a few times. You will be trained in how to get there, what you can find there. Some things that you'll find there that I've mentioned are the Work Health and Safety Act, all the forms I've talked about. So every time I've said incident report form, employee feedback form, the staff training matrix, that's all on our intranet. Okay, that's all the information I need to give you in regards to our mentoring session. I noticed you writing down some questions as we were going through. If you wanted to ask them now.
I just had heard you mention upcoming fire emergency and evacuation training. But what if something occurs before I receive my training? How will I know what to do?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I mean, emergencies don't wait around for someone to do the training, do they?
Yeah.
So you'll just notice on the next page, I'm glad you brought it up. Shortly we're going to go through this checklist, and at the bottom you'll see that one of my follow-up things to do after the mentoring session, I'm going to take you back to our department, and we're going to go through the fire emergency and evacuation procedures. We're going to look at where the fire extinguishers are, what our best exits are in emergency. Another thing that I always tell anyone who asks about emergency evacuations, if that happens, always look for one of our employees who has a fire warden hat on. They even put the fire warden hats on it doesn't have to be a fire. Any sort of evacuation, they have that hat on. We have a lot of employees in the whole building that are trained, so always look for your fire warden. Yep. Okay, anything else?
No, that's it. Oh, well, I have listened closely to everything you've told me and I've understood it all. But what if I forget something?
Oh, that's absolutely fine. You're not expected to remember all this off by heart. Just as long as I've conveyed to you, like you feel comfortable that you can come to me if you have a workplace health and safety issue. You understand our philosophy is that our workplace health and safety is everyone's responsibility. If you've gathered a basic understanding of our policies and procedures that I've spoken about, that's good. I am going to send you this PowerPoint in an email following the session. Also, it's on our intranet. You know how I said you'll get your intranet training? Look for it on there. And like I said, you can always come to me. You're not expected to know all this stuff off by heart. Okay, are you happy with any more questions?
No.
All right, let's go through your checklist to make sure I have covered everything in this mentoring session. One thing I was going to tell you that I forgot about is just in regards, I kept referring to that consultation around Rosie's incident that happened recently, and I was going to speak to you about hierarchy of controls and some things that have been put in place, just so you know that if you do report incidents and accidents, we don't ignore them. We do things about it. Yeah. So some short-term things we've done in our department in regards to those cables on the floor. Engineering controls, we have a temporary barrier there with some chairs and sign to make sure no one walks through that. That's just until IT can come in and remove the cords safely. If we've situated the staff desk near the hazardous walkway to sort of block the person, so they can still do their work, but they're not going to be tempted to walk in that area. In regards to administrative controls, we have consulted with IT. They're going to come and correctly remove the cables or position them in a safer way. Some long-term things we're looking at is the executive team, they realise how big administration has become now and how that office is overcrowded. They're looking at organising for us to move to a different office that's bigger, or if the company continues to grow, we're actually looking at getting a whole new building that we're going to move to make sure that there's not overcrowding so we can have a safe environment. Okay, so do you feel I have covered our workplace health and safety philosophy? And I've talked to you about legislation and our policies and procedures. Yep, so you can tick that off. I discussed the different workplace health and safety roles and responsibilities. So my role as representative, the human resources officer, workplace health and safety officer, upper management and executive, and the committee. I talked about the committee meetings that I go to. Hazard identification and hierarchy of control. So for the perfect example, that's why I took the time to go through what's happening with Rosie, because that's a perfect example of identifying the hazard and putting some controls in place. Risk management, so that's our emphasis on reporting incidents. Even if you clean up a spill and it's all fine, you still report it. Yep, so we're looking at risks and managing them and putting things in place. Fire emergency and evacuation, you've asked about that. We're going to go through that after this mentoring session. Incident investigation reporting, like you know that the forms are on the staff intranet. Once you receive your training, part of your practical training will be to fill in an incident report form, so you'll have a go at that. I talked a lot about the workplace consultation processes, how everyone has a role, we all report to each other, and we all do something about workplace health and safety. Yep. And I've spoken to you about the training needs and the training that will be provided, and I talked to you about how if you identify any training opportunities you think you would like, you can express that need. Yeah. Are you happy with that, Brett? We've covered all that. All right, if you're happy, I'll get you to sign here to say that we've had this mentoring session. I'll sign to witness your signature. And that's the end of our mentoring session. Are you happy to go and look at the fire emergency and evacuation procedures?
Yep.
Okay, let's
Thank
go.
you.